On Fortitude, by St. Ambrose of Milan, an excerpt from the Duties of the Clergy, written in 391 AD. Virtue is divided into two parts, as it concerns matters of war and matters at home, but the thought of warlike matters seems to be foreign to the duty of our office, for we have our thoughts fixed more on the duty of the soul than on that of the body, nor is it our business to look to arms, but rather to the affairs of peace. Our fathers, however, as Joshua, the son of Nun, Jerubbaal, Samson, David, gained great glory also in war. Fortitude, therefore, is a loftier virtue than the rest, but it is also one that never stands alone, for it never depends on itself alone. Moreover, fortitude without justice is the source of wickedness, for the stronger it is, the more ready it is to crush the weaker, while in matters of war, one ought to see whether the war is just or unjust. David never waged war unless he was driven to it. Thus prudence was combined in it with him, fortitude in the battle. For even when about to fight single-handedly against Goliath, the enormous giant, he rejected the armor with which he was laden. His strength depended more on his own arm than on the weapons of others. Then at a distance to get a stronger throw, with one cast of a stone, he slew his enemy. After that, he never entered on a war without seeking counsel of the Lord. Thus he was victorious in all his wars, and even to his last years was ready to fight. And when war arose with the Philistines, he joined battle with their fierce troops, being desirous of winning renown, while careless of his own safety. But this is not the only kind of fortitude which is worthy of note. We consider their fortitude glorious, who with greatness of mind, through faith, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong. Hebrews 11:33-34. They did not gain a victory in common with many, surrounded with comrades, and aided by the legions, but won their triumph alone over the treacherous foes by the mere courage of their own souls. How unconquerable was Daniel, who feared not the lions raging round about him. The beasts roared while he was eating. The glory of fortitude, therefore, does not rest only on the strength of one's body or of one's arms, but rather on the courage of the mind. Nor is the law of courage exercised in driving away all harm. He who does not keep harm off of a friend, if he can, is as much as in fault as he who causes it. Wherefore holy Moses gave this as a first proof of his fortitude in war. For when he saw a Hebrew receiving hard treatment at the hands of an Egyptian, he defended him, and laid low the Egyptian, and hid him in the sand. Exodus 2:11. Solomon also says, deliver him that is led to death. Proverbs 24:11. From whence then Cicero and Panaetius, or even Aristotle, got these ideas, it is perfectly clear. For though living before these two, Job had said, I delivered the poor out of the hand of the strong, and I aided the fatherless for whom there was no helper. Let the blessing of him that was ready to perish come upon me. Job 29:12-13. Was not he most brave in that he bore so nobly the attacks of the devil, and overcame him with the powers of his mind? Nor have we cause to doubt the fortitude of him to whom the Lord said, gird up your loins like a man, put on loftiness and power, humble every one that does wrong. The apostle also says, you have a strong consolation. Hebrews 6:18. He then is brave who finds consolation in any grief. And in very truth, rightly is that called fortitude, when a man conquers himself, restrains his anger, yields and gives way to no allurements, is not put out by misfortunes, nor gets elated by good success, and does not get carried away by every varying change, as by some chance wind. But what is more noble and splendid than to train the mind, keep down the flesh, and reduce it to subjection, so that it may obey commands, listen to reason, and in undergoing labors readily carry out the intention and wish of the mind? This then is the first notion of fortitude. For fortitude of the mind can be regarded in two ways. First, as it counts all externals as very unimportant, and looks on them as rather superfluous, and to be despised than to be sought after. Secondly, as it strives after those things which are the highest in all things in which one can see anything moral, or as the Greeks call it, with all the powers of the mind, for all that can be more noble than to train your mind so as not to place a high value on riches and pleasures and honors, not to waste all your care on these things. When your mind is thus disposed, you must consider all that is virtuous, and seemingly must be placed before everything else. And you must so fix your mind upon that if anything happens which may break your spirit, whether loss of property or the reception of fewer honors, or the disparagement of unbelievers, you may not feel it, as though thou were above such things. Nay, so that even dangers which menace your safety, if undertaken at the call of justice, may not trouble you. This is the true fortitude which Christ's warrior has who receives not the crown unless he strives lawfully. 2 Timothy 2:5. Or does that call to fortitude seem to you but a poor one? Tribulation works patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. Romans 5:3-4. See how many a contest there is, yet but one crown. That call none gives, but he who has strengthened in Jesus Christ, and whose flesh had no rest. Affliction on all sides, fighting without, and fears within. 2 Corinthians 7:5. And though in dangers and countless labors, in prisons and death, he was not broken in spirit, but fought so as to become more powerful through his infirmities. Think then how he teaches those who enter upon their duties in the church, that they ought to have contempt for all earthly things. He says, quote, "If then you be dead with Christ from the elements of this world, why do you act as though living in the world? Touch not, taste not, handle not, which we are all to perish with the using." And further, "If you then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, not those things which are on the earth." Colossians 3:1-2. And again, "Mortify therefore your members which are on the earth." Colossians 3:5. This indeed is meant for all the faithful. But you especially, my son, he urges to despise riches, and to avoid profane and old wives' fables, allowing nothing but this: exercise yourself unto godliness, for bodily exercise profits a little, but godliness is profitable unto all things. 1 Timothy 4:8. Let then godliness exercise you unto justice, continence, gentleness, that you may avoid childish acts, and that rooted and grounded in grace you may fight the good fight of faith. 1 Timothy 6:12. Entangle not yourself in the affairs of this life, for you are fighting for God. 2 Timothy 2:4. For if he who fights for the emperor is forbidden by human laws to enter upon lawsuits, to do any legal business, or to sell merchandise, how much more ought he who enters upon the warfare of faith to keep from every kind of business, being satisfied with the produce of his own little bit of land, if he has it? If he has not that, let him be content with the pay he will get for his service. Here is a good witness to this fact, who says, "I have been young, and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread." That is the true rest and temperance of the mind, which is not excited by the desire of gain, nor tormented by the fear of want. There is also that true freedom of the mind from vexation, which makes us neither give way too much in our griefs, nor be too elated in prosperity. And if they too urge men to undertake the affairs of the state, give such rules, how much more ought we who are called to do duty in the church to act thus, and to do those things which are pleasing to God, so that Christ's power may show itself forth in us. We too must prove ourselves to our captain, so that our members may be the weapons of justice, not carnal weapons in which sin may reign, but weapons strong for God, whereby sin may be destroyed. Let our flesh die, and as though living again after death, may we rise to new works in a new life. These then are the services of fortitude. In full they are of virtuous and seemly duties. But in all that we do must look to see not only if it is virtuous, but whether it is possible, so that we may not enter upon anything that we cannot carry out. Wherefore the Lord, to use his own word, wills us to flee in the time of persecution from one city to another. Matthew 10:23, so that no one, while longing for the crown of martyrdom, may put himself in the way of dangers which possibly the weak flesh or a mind indulged could not bear and endure. But again, no one must retire through cowardice or give up his faith from fear of danger. With what grace must the soul be equipped and the mind trained and taught to stand firm, so as never to be disturbed by any fears, to be broken by any troubles, or to yield to any torments. With what difficulty indeed are they borne, but as all pains seem less in the fear of greater pains, so also if you build up your soul by quiet counsel, and determine not to go from your course, and lay before you the fear of divine judgment and the torment of eternal punishment, can you gain endurance of the mind. If a man thus prepares himself, he gives signs of great diligence. On the other hand, it is a sign of natural ability. If a man by the power of his mind can foresee the future, and put as it were before his eyes what may happen, and decide what he ought to do if he should take place, it may happen too that he will think over 2 or 3 things at once, which he supposes may come either singly or together. and that he settles what he will do with them as he thinks will be the most advantage, in the event of their coming either singly or together. Therefore it is the duty of a brave man not to shut his eyes when anything threatens, but to put it before him, and to search it out as it were in the mirror of his mind, and to meet the future with foreseeing thought, for fear he might afterwards have to say, "This has come to me because I thought it could not come about." If misfortunes are not overlooked, or if misfortunes are not looked for beforehand, they quickly get a hold over us. In war, an unexpected enemy is with difficulty resisted, and if he finds the others unprepared, he easily overcomes them. So evils unthought of readily break down the soul. In these 2 points, then, consists the excellency of the soul, so that your soul, trained in good thoughts and with a pure heart, first may see what is true and virtuous. For blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God, Matthew 5:8, and may decide that only to be good which is virtuous, and next may never be disturbed by business of any kind, nor get tossed about by any desires. Not that this is an easy thing for anyone, for what is so difficult as to discern, as though from some watchtower, the resources of wisdom, and all those other things which to most seem so great and noble? Again, what so difficult as to place one's decision on fixed grounds, and to despise what one has decided to be worthless as of no good? Or once more, what so difficult when some misfortune has happened, and it is looked on as something serious and grieving, as to bear it in such a way that one considers it nothing beyond what is natural, when one reads, "Naked was I born, naked shall I go forth. What the Lord gave, the Lord has taken away." Job 121. He who said this had lost children and possessions, and to preserve in all things the character of a wise and upright man, as he did who says, "As the Lord pleased, so did he." Blessed be the name of the Lord. Job 121. And again, "You speak as one of the foolish women speaks. How shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil?" Job 2:10. Fortitude of soul, then, is not an unimportant thing, nor is it cut off from the other virtues, for it wages war in conjunction with the virtues, and alone defends the beauty of all the virtues, and guards their powers of discernment, and fights against all vices with implacable hate. It is unconquerable as regards labors, brave to endure dangers, stern as against pleasures, hardened against allurements, to which it knows not how to lend an ear, nor so to speak, to give a greeting. It cares not for money, and flies from avarice as from a plague that destroys all virtue. For nothing is so much opposed to fortitude as when one allows himself to be overcome by gain. Often when the enemy is repulsed and the hosts of the foe are turned to flight, has the warrior died miserably among those whom he has laid low, while he is busy with the spoils of the fallen. And the legions, while busy with their booty, have called back upon the enemy that has fled, and so have been robbed of their triumph. By the prayers of the holy Theotokos, St. Ambrose of Milan, and all the saints, may the Lord Jesus Christ our God have mercy on us, and save us. Amen.